right, so I'm back. This time I'm going to be making a challenge lock. I was asked by a fellow picker and YouTuber if I could make a video on how I do this. So let's go ahead and get it started. First thing I'm going to do, this is just a standard, it's a 6-pin KIK, but it's only pinned up for 5 right now, just a standard slig. And we're going to go ahead and turn it into a 6-pin challenge lock. So the first thing I need to do is just strip this thing down. That way I can get to working on the core. I'm just putting this stuff in a bag for later. And actually I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to empty it right into the bag. I don't really have a need for anything that's in here. All I want is these 2 pieces for right now. So I got this stripped down. I'm going to thread these, and I'm going to need to pull this out and thread it as well. And I like to do that by just taking a little chisel. I'm not trying to cut anything. I'm hoping to just bend these tabs back. It's actually kind of tricky, but it is doable. So I'm just kind of, I don't know if you can see, I'm just kind of flattening those out. And I'll do that to both sides to where this will come off, and then I'll be able to pinch it back together. So just to save for time, I'm going to go ahead and get this off here and then move on to the next part. Alright, so I found a tab that fits. It's actually a metric, but hey, it works. And literally just going to go through and thread all of them. Why not? Give those sharp edges on our pen something to catch on to. Doesn't really take much. And so as you can see, nice and threaded. And we'll just go ahead and, like I said, we'll do that to all of them. So it is a little time consuming, but it's fun. So, threaded. And for time's sake again, I'm going to go ahead and do all these off camera, and then when I get to the next phase, turn it back on. Be right back. Alright, so we got everything threaded. Now we just need to kind of clean it up. There's going to be burrs, both on the top here and on the inside. And you'll notice it kind of, it sticks a little bit. And we want it to be smooth. So I just take one of my needle files, the half round, and I'm just going to lightly deburr the inside. And take a flat and just kind of lightly take those burrs off. Make sure that's in frame. And then we're back to smooth operator. Do the same up here, just to make that plate go on a little bit easier. Doesn't take much. Alright, and now we can set this aside and start picking out our pins. Alright, so we got all of our pins and springs picked out, and went with, a couple of longer, and then following by a short pin, again a couple of longer key pins, followed by a nice short pin way back in the back. Hopefully these 2 longer will make it a little bit more difficult to get to these, right? To make it more of a challenge, more fun, more interesting. So we're going to go ahead and modify the key pins first, get them into the plug so we can make our key, because how we determine what our driver pins are going to be is how active they're going to be. So we need to get that all worked out first. So moving on to the next part. All right, so we got our Dremel out. We're going to go ahead and serrate all of these key pins by just putting them in our little Dremel tool or rotary tool. I'm not going to bore you guys to death with that, but it's pretty easy. Just get it set in there, turn it on. So I'm just going to do that to all the key pins really quick. Like I said, there's plenty of guys, that's how they do it. That's how I learned it. So it's just part of the process. All right, we'll get that done and we'll move on to the next. All right, so we got all of our key pins serrated. We got our plug, and then we have our key blank, our 6-pin Schlage key blank. So we just go to the back, starting at number 6, and we need to make a notch in the key about yay deep. And you can mark it, but as you can see, we're right there at that peak, if you will, right at the end of the key. So I won't use a Sharpie for this one, but the rest of them I will. And then what I take is again, a needle file, but I'm going to use a square one. And I just slowly start filing it down a little bit at a time until I can get it down. So I'll start filing it, and when I get it close, I'll go ahead and turn the video back on. All right, so you notice we got the 90-degree cut, keeping a 45 at the face of the key. We're just working the one pin. That's really close to flush, but if we get, the Bible over here, you notice it catches, so we just got to take a little bit more off. So it was three cuts, not quite. There we are, we're flush. Oh, no, almost. So it goes in, but it's a little sticky. So we'll just do a little bit more. All right, so we got that one. Now we can move on to pin number 5. That's going to be quite a bit of cutting. And at this point, what I like to do is actually take a Sharpie, like I was talking about earlier, flush that up where it's going to be. Give myself a mark so I know where it's at. And keep cutting away. Again, maintaining the 45 degrees off this face as we go down. And it's going to take a while to do it by hand, but once it's all said and done, it'll work great. So I'll get it close and then show you how we tune it up after that. And all right, so we got 6 and 5 flush, right? Our Bible will slide right over. And you notice I can't get the key out. Well, drop those pins. That's because when we're cutting this, There we go. You'll notice that there's two straight edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to match this angle with our flat file. This backside. We'll just worry about this backside first until we get our next cut for number 3. All right, so we got that angled. We should be able to get number 6, number 5 put in there. And then now it'll come out because it's angled. And then we move on to the next one. All right, so we got a good cut going for pin number 4, and we have that little burr, so we can take that burr off now. I didn't want to do it beforehand just because it makes getting each subsequent pin a little bit easier to get. And you can always take away material, but you can't exactly add it. So now I can just keep filing until my next pin fits. Oh, look at that. Good thing I didn't go much further. We're there. All right. So there we go. There's 3. And then I can go ahead and make my Sharpie mark. Move on to pin number 3, 2, and 1. All right, so again, we got it started. We have a little lip. Just take that off. Go ahead and throw number 3 in there. And as you can see, we got a little bit more filing to do. So I'll be back when that's done. All right, so just to reiterate, that looks like it's close, but we can check by actually throwing the Bible portion on it. Notice it sticks just a little bit. So we can just pull that out. Give it a couple quick passes. Doesn't take much. There we go. And then on to the next. Oh, that rock star's kicking in. Feeling all shaky. I mean, I got the energy. All right. And then I don't know if I showed him to get this started. You want to just make some slow cuts at first. Where you're just giving yourself that little mark to run off of, and then just file away. Again, maintaining that 45 degree off this top face as you cut it. All right. So we're getting close. I can't stress enough. You just really want to keep checking your work. We got a little bit to go. I can't pull it out because we're running into that same problem with that little lip up here. But that's fine. We're just going to keep filing away here. Get our number 2 pin back in there. Slide the key in. We're close. Pull it out. Getting really close. Feels close, but we can double check, and we're hung up. So needs a little bit more. Check it. Close, but not close enough. Feels good. Slides on. All right. Dump that. Pull this out. Flat file. Match that angle. All right, nice and easy. You got 5 out of the 6 pins. All right. And then we go to the last one. All right, I'll be back when we're close to finishing. All right, so now we got our key cut, a little bit of wild bitting. All of our pins are flush. Our Bible slides over. It rotates, so we know it clears that shear line. Everything backs out. We got this little bit of lip right here we can go ahead and angle out just for aesthetics. It's really not even necessary, but since we're here, right? And then we can go through and, deburr these edges. Wouldn't try to take anything more off, where the pen rests, but just to make sure things move a little bit smoother. So we now have our custom key, some wild bitting there. We got everything threaded. We got serrations on our key pins, and so we can put that off to the side. Then we're going to move to, actually we'll need the plug here. So if you look at how much space you got, so pin number 2 and number 5, you're definitely you're not going to want to put a spool in there, because it's not going to be active, because it's just barely hanging in there. These two would be better, or ideal candidates for a serrated type pin. And we'll probably just do serrated for 1, 2, 4, and 5, and then 3 and 6. We'll put a couple of deep spools in there where you can see they're definitely going to be active and actually give you that effect from a spool that you want. So we'll get the Dremel tool back out and we'll get working on these. I'll be right back. So we got our drivers all done, and I wanted to go over again how the spool, see, and will be active. Put that on in frame. So when it comes to it, right, the spool will do what it's meant to do. But if we were to put it over here in number 5, as you can see, it's barely below the shear line and will technically be inactive. Again, so number 2 pin slot, definitely inactive spool, wouldn't do you any good. Now, serrated, those serrations will catch on the threaded part of the Bible and give you some of that challenge lock aspects that we're looking for. And then of course, you can make any type of pins that you want. Here's a nice little tapered T-pin, just add in something different. I might put it in 1, I might put it in 2, I might even put it in 4. I don't know yet. Doesn't really matter until I get it back together, but I definitely will have the spools in these 2 shorter key pin spots of 6 and 3. So at this point, now I can get it back together and make sure everything works and send it off. So let me put it together and we'll wrap this up. Real quickly, I wanted to show putting that shim back in on the top, so you can get it in, squeeze those spots where the divots were before with a pair of pliers, and then I like to come back with a pair of dikes and hit it again, you know, kind of leaning one side to the other. And you have to use a pair of dikes because a dike by itself is, well, probably just a confused female. But it's kind of like peening it cheaply, because I have had these things fail me before. So that little bit of added pressure from the sharp edges of the dike help to hold this piece in so it won't come out. And yeah, getting the springs and pin in is somewhat kind of time consuming, and obviously nothing I'm going to do here on video, but you definitely there's different ways to go about it. I don't recommend putting your core in and then feeding it from the top and putting this in. You usually just end up with springs and pins everywhere and lots of expletives. So I'll get it back together, and I'll go ahead and I'll show you how I do the very last one, just to show you how I do it. You know, you're probably supposed to be using followers, but I end up just using the core itself. It makes it a lot easier. So let me get the first 5 in, and then I'll show you pretty much how I did each pin before that. All right, so hold on. So I got the first 5 pins in, springs and pins. And I literally just put the spring in, put the pin in, push the plug to where it catches it, and then push it on home, and drive it home. So now we can test to make sure the lock works. Go ahead and put it in the lock position. We're locked up. Grab our newly made key, put it in, and we have a working lock. So let's grab our spring and keeper pin, and this thing is done. Spring, pin, cap. Oop, I think it's backwards. Yeah. All right. So now we have a nicely bitted, nicely pinned 6-pin Schlage challenge lock, if you will. I mean, it's not too challenging. You know, I've seen a lot of work from a lot of other guys. It's pretty intricate, but that's not where my skill level's at, so I just work within my means, and I'll get there eventually. Besides, I don't want to put anything together that I'm not able to pick yet, so I shouldn't expect that out of other people. So hopefully this works. If you don't know how to do it, hopefully I got a little bit more intricate detail and those smaller finer points, and therefore everyone can have more fun picking locks, because that's the name of the game. I mean, this is, you know, fun and challenging, and you get to meet some cool people within the lock sport community, and the more people that are able to do it and enjoy it, the better off it is. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it. So remember, be good or be good at it. Thanks for watching. Until next time.